تیری رحمتوں پہ ہے مختصر میرے ہر عمل کی قبولیت، نہ مجھے سلی کے التجا نہ مجھے شعور نماز ہے۔ السلام علیکم ناظرین، پروگرام گڈ مارننگ JNK میں آپ کا استقبال ہے۔ آج کے پروگرام میں میں رہوں گا آپ کے ساتھ، آپ کا میزبان شاہد عمران اور شاہد شبیر صاحب۔
بہت بہت شکریہ۔ ایک پرشین اشعار کے کچھ مصرے ذہن میں آ رہے ہیں جن کا مفہوم اور جن کا کہ معنی یہ ہے، بہت نصیحت آموز ہے کہ انار جب پختہ ہوتا ہے تو اپنی پوست کو پھاڑ دیتا ہے، اور جب سفل ذات والا شخص کسی مرتب پہ کسی منصب پہ پہنچتا ہے تو سب سے پہلے اس کی یہ کوشش رہتی ہے کہ میں اپنے جاہ و جلال کا، اپنے اقتدار کا، اپنے دبدبے کا، اپنی پوزیشن کا اظہار کرنے کے لیے اپنے کسی دوست کو نشانہ بناؤں۔ اور تاریخ ایسے واقعات سے بھری پڑی ہے جہاں اس طرح کے واقعات پیش ہوئے ہیں کہ دوست نشانہ بنے ہیں، دوستوں کے حصے میں دشمنی آئی ہے اس وقت جب آپ کا ایک دوست جو کم ظرف یا کم ذات ہے کسی ایسی پوزیشن پہ پہنچتا ہے جہاں سے وہ آپ کو غزل پہنچا سکتا ہے۔ حضرت شیخ سید عبد القادر جیلانی رضی اللہ تعالیٰ عنہ سے ایک دن پوچھا گیا، کہا کہ کمذات شخص کی پہچان کیا ہے؟ کہا کمذات شخص کی پہچان یہ ہے کہ وہ ایک دم اپنے ماضی کو بھول جاتا ہے۔ لیکن جب ہم تاریخ کی بات کرتے ہیں، جب ہم اس دنیا کے معاملات کی بات کرتے ہیں تو ماضی جو ہے کبھی کبھار ایک خوبصورت انداز میں آپ کے حال اور مستقبل پہ اثر انداز ہو کر آپ کو آگے بڑھنے کی ترغیب دیتا ہے، آپ کو آگے لے جاتا ہے اور آپ کا رشتہ اپنے ساتھ اس طرح جوڑتا ہے کہ آپ ماضی کی یادوں کو تازہ کر کے اشش کر اٹھتے ہیں۔ آج کے اس پروگرام میں جو مہمان ہمارے ہیں ذرا مختلف قسم کے ہیں، کیونکہ ان کا تعلق کشمیر سے نہیں ہے، لیکن کشمیر کے ماضی، حال اور مستقبل کو جس طرح دیکھتے ہیں اور جو منظر کشی اس کی انہوں نے کی ہے، وہ سب چیزیں ان کی اعلیٰ ظرفی کا مظاہرہ کرتی ہیں، کشمیر کے ساتھ ان کے کنسرن کا مظاہرہ کرتی ہیں، اور کشمیر کے لالزاروں کو، کشمیر کے پہاڑوں کو، کشمیر کے جنگلوں کو، سرسبز وادیوں کو ایکسپلور کر کے دنیا کے سامنے انہوں نے ایک خوبصورت تصویر رکھی۔ ظرف کی بات چلی تھی کہ ایک کم ظرف شخص اپنے مفادات کے لیے، اپنے مقصد کے لیے ایک گھنونی تصویر پیش کرتا ہے، ایک خوبصورت پینٹنگ کی، لیکن ایک اعلیٰ ظرف شخص اس میں خوبصورتی کے پہلو تلاشتا ہے، خوبصورتی آپ کے سامنے لاتا ہے، خصوصیات آپ کے سامنے لاتا ہے، آپ کے دل کو مسرت اور سکون سے ہمکنار کرتا ہے۔ اس سے پہلے کہ آج کے پروگرام میں ہم آج معزز مہمان جو ہمارے ہیں ان کے ساتھ آپ کو متعارف کرائیں گے، میں پہلے اپنے ساتھی اینکر پرسن شاہد عمران سے کہوں گا کہ موسم اور شاہراہ کا حال اب تک پہنچائیں۔
بالکل ناظرین، اگر ہم شاہراہوں کی بات کریں تو سری نگر جموں شاہراہ آج ٹریفک کی نقل و حمل کے لیے کھلی رہے گی، اسی طرح سری نگر مغل روڈ بھی ٹریفک کی آمد و رفت کے لیے کھلی رہے گی۔ ساتھ ہی ساتھ اگر ہم کرگل سری نگر روڈ کی بات کریں تو کرگل سری نگر روڈ بھی آج ٹریفک کی آمد و رفت کے لیے کھلا رہے گا۔ موسم کے حوالے سے یہ جانکاری، سری نگر میں آج دن کا زیادہ سے زیادہ درجہ حرارت 25 ڈگری سیلسیس جبکہ کم سے کم درجہ حرارت 10 ڈگری سیلسیس کے آس پاس رہنے کا امکان ہے۔ جموں میں آج دن کا زیادہ سے زیادہ درجہ حرارت 29 ڈگری سیلسیس جبکہ کم سے کم درجہ حرارت 20 ڈگری سیلسیس کے آس پاس رہنے کا امکان ہے۔ یہ تھی موسم کے حوالے سے جانکاری۔ تو پروگرام کو آگے بڑھاتے ہیں شاہد صاحب، آئیے دیکھتے ہیں سیگمنٹ نغمہ آپ تک پہنچاتے ہیں، اور اس نغمے کے سنگر ہیں راشدہ جی۔
This is the musical break, yes. एक बार फिर आपका खैर मकदम है गुड मॉर्निंग J&K में। मौसीकी से आप महजूज हुए और अब आज जिस मेहमान से हम आपका तारुफ कराने जा रहे हैं उनके बारे में आपको बता दें कि वो पैदा हुए हैं बरतानिया में, अब बाशिंदगी अख्तियार की है ऑस्ट्रेलिया की, लेकिन कश्मीर की मोहब्बत में इस कदर गिरफ्तार हो गए कि पिछली लगभग 4 दहाइयों से कश्मीर में बैठे बैठे ये कश्मीर के मुख्तलिफ मनाजिर को, कश्मीर के एडवेंचर टूरिज़म को, कश्मीर के फ्लोरा फाना को इंट्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं आउटर वर्ल्ड में विद ए रोजी टिंच। और जब हम कश्मीर की तारीख़ पर नज़र दौड़ाते हैं तो बड़े कॉन्ट्रीब्यूशंस हैं उन लोगों के जो यूरोप से आए, मिडल ईस्ट से आए या चाइना से आए, और फिर उसके बाद कश्मीर की हिस्ट्री को उन्होंने कलमबंद किया और दुनिया के सामने सियाक व सबाक रखे कश्मीर की तारीख़ के हवाले से। और आज भी जब कोई ऑथेंटिक अकाउंट आप पढ़ते हैं या किसी ऑथेंटिक अकाउंट की तलाश होती है किसी मामले के हवाले से कश्मीर के, तो कश्मीर के मादूद चंद तारीख़ नवीसों के सिर्फ़ और सिर्फ अंग्रेज़ों की या जो लोग बाहर से यहाँ पे आ गए उनकी रकम की हुई तारीख़ जो है आपको इस हवाले से सही इन्फॉर्मेशन, सही जानकारी फराहम करती है।
बिल्कुल।
प्रोग्राम को आगे बढ़ाते हुए आज के मेहमान को आपके साथ मुतारिफ कराते हैं और इनका नाम है गैरी वियर, जो ट्रैवल एक्सपेडिशंस के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, ट्रैकिंग की हुई है, कई किताबें लिखी हुई हैं और इनकी किताबों के लाखों कॉपियाँ जो हैं वो बिक चुकी हैं, बहुत पॉपुलर हैं। और जब इनसे बात कर रहे थे हम तो कश्मीर टूरिज़म के हवाले से, कश्मीर के ट्रैकिंग के हवाले से, कश्मीर के ट्रैकिंग रूट्स के हवाले से, एडवेंचर और टूरिज़म के हवाले से हमें लगा कि ये दिल में एक नर्म गोशा रखते हैं कि ये सन्नत आगे बढ़े, कश्मीर को लोग इस हवाले से जाने और कश्मीर लाइमलाइट में एक बार फिर जन्नत बेनज़ीर की सूरत में सामने आए। Garry, welcome to Good Morning.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We really are impressed by the contributions you so far have been contributing to take the journey of Kashmir forward and paint a rosy picture of Kashmir to the outer world. This is really appreciable, and I think every conscientious person of Kashmir appreciates your work, that your concerns with regard to Kashmir are very intense, very personal, and everything of Kashmir is very close to your heart.
Thank you.
Firstly, I shall be introducing to you, to our guest. I have introduced to our guests, to our viewers. I would like to know from you, where were you born? What made you to go to Australia? When came you to Kashmir and fell in love with Kashmir?
Thank you so much. I was born in the UK, and essentially my journey to Kashmir commenced in 1970. I originally came out here on the advice of a barrister who was actually from Pakistan, who invited me to go to Kashmir. I got sidetracked up into the mountains, started trekking. I just loved it. I continued. I spent 5 months trekking in Nepal, and whilst I was in Nepal, I noticed that there were a number of professional organizations already organizing extended treks, and I thought perhaps I could do the same in Kashmir. And yeah, that was way back in 1970. I organized my first trek in Kashmir in 1973. Like most young people in the UK at the time, I ran out of money. I went to Australia. I worked in the mines for a couple of years, saved up enough money, and with a couple of friends, we started up an organisation called the Australian Himalayan Expeditions, which was organising treks both to Nepal and to Kashmir. And the whole thing was just took off completely. Within a few years, we had many hundreds of people trekking in Kashmir.
Okay.
And the word kept on spreading. People realised that, yes, that Kashmir didn't have Everest, it didn't have the Annapurna regions, but it did have such a charm of its own. Beautiful mountain scenery, beautiful alpine valleys, And by that stage, Ladakh was open. It was open in 1974 to tourism. And so we were able to do longer treks from Kashmir into Ladakh. And yeah, it was a lifestyle to which I became very much accustomed. I just loved it.
While interacting with one of our friends, Raouf Trumbu, who is very close to you, with whom you are working in close coordination, he said
yes,
when Garry came to Kashmir, he had come to teach. He had come to deliver some lectures.
Correct.
But while discussing things with you, you said that I came to Kashmir, then I went back to Australia and worked in mines.
Yes, well, I had a degree in philosophy and politics, so that's probably the best way to... But the way you earned a lot of money was just working on the mines in Australia, because you could earn a lot of money, you're away from the cities, you're away from sort of wine, women and song. And that allowed me to save up a lot of money so that I could do something which I really wanted to do. And just to preempt the whole thing, I just feel so grateful that I found something I wanted to do so early in life. Sometimes you don't discover it till far, far later. People sometimes say, oh, you were very lucky to find something. But basically, I think I was very fortunate in that sort of regard. So yes, I did have an academic background, but I also had the practical sort of knowledge to want to go off and save money. Australia was the place to be. And Australia was where I settled, and Australia was where we organised our first series of groups, and that sort of continued from there.
Then you shifted to writing, maintaining the account of these travels, of these tracks.
I was fortunate. I met the founder of Lonely Planet when he was in Kashmir in 1981, and he suggested doing a book on trekking in the Indian Himalaya. I said, well, what about just doing trekking in Ladakh and Kashmir? And he said, no, just broaden it out a bit. But essentially, I started writing these guide books for Lonely Planet. The first one came out in 1985, and continued up until 2008. And yeah, again, that was a wonderful way to promote trekking, adventure travel in this part of the world. And Lonely Planet had an incredible distribution, and I might mention that the 5 editions sold well over 100,000 copies, which is quite remarkable for quite a specialist readership. But it helped to spread the word, and that was the most important thing.
अपने नाज़रीन को बताते चलें कि इनके साथ जो बातचीत हो रही है, इन्होंने अपनी ज़िंदगी का आगाज़ जो है बरतानिया से किया, और फिर कहते हैं कि पॉलिटिक्स में और फ़िलासफ़ी में मेरी डिग्री थी। जब मैं इंडिया आया तो दिल ने चाहा कि मैं एक डिफरेंट वेंचर में जाऊं, डिफरेंट फील्ड में जाऊं। तो जब मैंने ये एक्सपेडिशन शुरू किए तो मेरे पास पैसों की कमी थी, लेकिन शौक़ इस कदर सवार था जहन पे कि इस मिशन को आगे ले जाना था। और उसके बाद मैं फिर ऑस्ट्रेलिया गया और खूब सारा पैसा इकट्ठा कमाए, क्योंकि वहाँ जो माइनिंग थी, जो कानकनी के शोबे में काम किया, उसके बाद फिर वापस आए, फिर कई लोगों से मिले। ये शौक़ जो था ये एक जुनून की सूरत अख्तियार कर गया, और फिर उसके बाद किताबें लिखने का शौक़ हुआ। कुछ ऐसे लोग मिले जिन्होंने इंस्पायर किया कि आप ट्रैवल कर रहे हैं इन इलाकों से, आप डॉक्यूमेंट करिए इनकी हिस्ट्री को, इनके हालात को, अपनी एक्सपीरियंसेस को। और उसके बाद जो किताबें लिखी हैं, लगभग 1 लाख किताबें जो अभी तक इनकी हैं, एडिशंस जो कॉपीज़ हैं वो बिक चुकी हैं। और इनकी एक खूबसूरत किताब जो है ए लॉन्ग वॉक इन द हिमालयन। अब हम इनसे ये जानना चाहेंगे कि एक्चुअली व्हेन यू प्लान्ड एंड डिजाइन्ड योर ट्रैक, you started your journey from the Gangotris.
That was
that culminated in Kashmir.
Yes, that's right. That was in 2003. I'd been researching for the next edition of my Lonely Planet guidebook, and I was a bit frustrated. I was coming from Australia. I was doing a trek for a couple of weeks and then going back to Australia. And like anything else, once you start, it finishes too quickly. And I got this idea of, well, I do a longer trek, and that's how the whole thing evolved. You know, it was a 5-month continuous trek, avoiding roads whenever possible, which went from the sacred source of the Ganges at Gangotri, all the way to one of the sacred sources of the Jhelum in Gangabal. And it was a wonderful experience, and I wrote about it in one of my books afterwards.
Okay.
While trekking through this trek, one thing which comes to fore often is that our glaciers are depleting fast.
Correct, yeah.
So while trekking from Gangotri to Gangabal, how did you find what actually is the position, what actually is the status of the glaciers, which you must have read about in the books? And how did you find them? Are they really depleting, or it's just a mere rhetoric which is being repeated?
I think there's a lot of discussion worldwide about global warming, and right from the start, even in Gangotri is a very, very good example there, because the glacier, they actually marked where it extended in 1935. There's a small sign there, and you can see all these signs of how it has retreated. The Gangotri glacier has retreated.
Okay.
And you can certainly you can. That to me is a definitive sign that we have problems, and obviously in Kashmir as well. You've mentioned Mr. Ruth Trumbull and all his good work around the Twadris Glacier in Sonamarg, and the recent initiation to now restrict traffic up to the Twadris Glacier. You see it all around. Recently up in Kolahoy as well, you can see that the glaciers are retreating, and of course it must be of great concern.
Okay.
एक ताल्लुक जो जाहिर कर रहे हैं गैरी अपने इस कन्वर्सेशन के दौरान, वो ये है कि हमारे जो ग्लेशियर्स हैं वो डिप्लीट हो रहे हैं, उनके हुजूम में कमी वाक़ा हो रही है, और इसके कई सारे फैक्टर्स जो है वो गिनाए जा चुके हैं कि एक तो इंसानी आबादियों के बढ़ने की वजह से ये ग्लेशियर्स जो हैं ये डिप्लीट हो रहे हैं, इनमें कमी आने लगी है, और साथ ही साथ जो ग्लोबल वार्मिंग का एक सिलसिला शुरू हुआ है, जिसके बारे में काफ़ी कुछ काम करने की ज़रूरत है, और जिसके बारे में काफ़ी एक सीरियस कंसर्न जताने की ज़रूरत है, वो भी बिल्कुल ज़िम्मेदार है इन ग्लेशियर्स के डिप्लीशन में। और अगर ये सिलसिला जारी रहा तो ये सिलसिला आगे ख़तरनाक सूरत इख्तियार कर सकता है। Garry, one thing we would like to know from you. You had trekking from Srinagar to Ladakh.
Yes, from
you have been organizing trekking tours.
Yes.
You have been trekking throughout these routes.
Yep.
Which was the most difficult, challenging, but very attractive and fascinating route you took during your journey from Srinagar to Ladakh?
Well, in terms of the treks, they didn't go from Srinagar. They went from either from Pahalgam or from a place called Lenevan, and they always involved certain challenges, particularly early on in the season when there was a lot of snow around, going over the high glaciers before dropping into Ladakh. And some of them were more challenging than others. Often it just depended on the actual sort of time in the season, etc. In terms of the most scenic treks, they actually exclusively are in Kashmir, and I always, when I'm asked about, what's your favourite trek in the Himalaya, I always say the trek from Sonamarg around to Gangabal. It doesn't have the high peaks, but it has untold beauty. And I think that's completely unmatched in other parts of the Himalaya. And so my heart always goes back to Kashmir, it always goes back to this particular trek.
Okay.
Shahid is a question.
Thank you very much. Mr. Garry, first of all, we are very happy to have you here in our studio today. And for that hospitality, we offer you noon chai. Do you like it?
Ah, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I better say yes.
Okay. You led your first trek somewhere in 1973.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Please tell me what made you to choose Kashmir for your first trek? Any reason behind?
Well, I'd already trekked in Kashmir in 1970, and it was really a yearning to get back.
Okay.
To get back to Kashmir, and it was an unqualified success. It was a wonderful trek. We just took half a dozen people, and they enjoyed it, and I knew then that my mind was made up of what I wanted to do in the future. My only challenge was the fact I was living hand to mouth, and hence that's the reason why I went to Australia, to earn enough money so that I wouldn't have to worry about this, and helped me set up a company which was specializing in treks to the Himalaya.
It's very interesting to talk to you, to have you on the show, and so many things you have revealed with regard to the beauty of the Himalayan region and your experiences you have confronted, you have come across during your treks. But we are here to take a break. Firstly, we should take a commercial break, and then we shall be moving on to the presentation of the news headlines.
Yodway ach band karo to Khodai sanzan dismasan nyamsan hun tasawwur achan mazano. Godnish tasveer yos watli swasi yakinan korihans. یہ کور چھ پزی مرکز بنیاد زندگی ہنس بنیاد پگہچ علامت رسرچ تو خوشحالی ہنس مگر یہ تصویر رچ تیل پن رنگ یل اس کور آس یل اس سو محفوظ تھاون یل اس سو پرناون تو اک مستقبل دموس.
رشوت خوری سماج کے لیے ناسور ہے، اس کو جڑ سے اکھاڑیے. رشوت خوری سماجی بدعت ہے، اس کو روکنا ہم سب کی ذمہ داری ہے. رشوت خوری کا خاتمہ کرنے کے لیے احتساب کمیشن آپ کا ہتھیار ہے، اس کو استعمال کیجیے. احتساب کمیشن میں شکایت درج کرنے کا طریقہ کار کمیشن کی ویب سائٹ www.jksac.nic.in پر دستیاب ہے.
اب باری ہے اخبار کی سرخیاں آپ تک پہنچانے کی. سب سے پہلا اخبار جو میرے ہاتھ میں انگریزی اخبار دا بیرر آف کشمیر. آپ اس کے پہلے صفحے پہ آپ کو آج دوردرشن کاشر سے نشر ہونے والے پروگراموں کی ہائی لائٹس جو ہے دیکھنے کو ملیں گی. اخبار وی دا پیپل ایمان کے تحت باٹم سپریٹ میں لکھتا ہے من کی بات ہیز براٹ مینی پبلک ایشوز ٹو سرفیس نیڈ فالو اپ ایکشن.
ایک اور سرخی ہے تقریباً 1.25 لاکھ ریاستی نوجوانوں کے لیے روزگار کا بندوبست. چیف سیکریٹری نے حمایت پروگرام پر جاری کام کا لیا جائزہ.
ایک اردو اخبار کی سرخی آپ تک پہنچانا چاہیں گے. جی ایس ٹی کونسل کی میٹنگ میں کئی فیصلے. 1.5 کروڑ روپے تک سالانہ کاروبار کرنے والے تاجر سماہی جی ایس ٹی ریٹرن اب فائل کریں گے. کشمیر سمیت مختلف ریاستوں کے وزرائے خزانہ نے اجلاس میں ٹیرف پر کوئی اعتراض نہیں کیا.
انگریزی روزنامے کی سرخی ہے کمیونل بانڈ آن ڈسپلے ان اننت ناگ. مسلمز گریٹ کے پی آفن گرلز گروم ود گارلینڈز اینڈ سانگس.
یہ کشمیر کی روایت ہے، مہمان نوازی ہے کشمیر کے، جس کی کنسرن ہے کہ ایک پنڈت لڑکی کی شادی اننت ناگ میں ہو رہی تھی تو جو مسلمان ان کے پڑوسی تھے وہ پھولوں کے ہار لے کر دلہا کے استقبال کے لیے سامنے آئے. بالکل خوبصورت تصاویر کشمیر کی ہیں جو وقتاً فوقتاً ابھر کر سامنے آتی ہیں اور پوری دنیا کو یہ پیغام بھیجتی ہیں کہ کشمیر میں قدریں جو ہے وہ بالکل برقرار ہیں. کشمیر میں جو مائنورٹی کمیونٹی کے ہیں ان کے لیے محبت اور ان کے لیے عزت جو ہے دلوں میں برقرار ہے. اللہ سے یہی دعا ہے کہ یہ سلسلہ آگے بھی چلے. بالکل. ایک اور انگریزی اخبار کی سرخی آپ تک پہنچانا چاہیں گے. 8 juvenile justice boards to be constituted in state, government tells High Court.
ایک اور سرخی ہے گورنمنٹ abolishes 51 types of affidavits.
ایک انگریزی اخبار کی سرخی آپ تک پہنچانا چاہیں گے. گورنمنٹ committed to boost industrial sector, several initiatives underway, Deputy Chief Minister.
اوکے.
ایک کشمیری اخبار کا ایک ہیومن انٹرسٹ جو بلیٹن ہے آپ تک پہنچانا چاہیں گے. ایک ہیڈ لائن ہے پالک کینسر نش محفوظ تھاوان تحقیق. سو آج کے اس پروگرام میں گیری ویئر ہمارے مہمان ہیں. آسٹریلیا سے آپ کا تعلق ہے لیکن کشمیر کے ساتھ محبت ہے، کشمیر کے ساتھ انس ہے اور ٹریکنگ ایکسپیڈیشنز کا انعقاد کرتے ہیں اور ایکسپلور کرتے رہے ہیں کئی ساری ایسی چیزیں جو اس شعبے میں اہمیت کی حامل ہیں اور کئی کتابیں بھی ابھی تک لکھ چکے ہیں. آفٹر بریک وی وڈ لائک ٹو اسٹارٹ فرام the point where we had dropped our discussion. You have been writing, books, you have been maintaining travel accounts. You must have witnessed, while being in Kashmir, the rich traditions of Kashmir, the cultural beauty of Kashmir, and the warmth of the people of Kashmir. What do you have to say in this regard?
I was waiting for this because the trekking is only one dimension of the whole experience, and I think for people coming to Kashmir, not only can they enjoy the beauty if they decide to undertake a trek, but there's so much more of the cultural history of Kashmir as well, and showing people around some of the various sites in Kashmir. That to me again is a wonderful dimension of the experience that people come out to, not only the natural beauty but looking at the cultural history as well, and appreciating that, whether it's in the Mughal gardens, whether it's going up to Havan, to the Buddhist site up there, going out to Thrissipura and seeing something of the rich Hindu dynasties, going up to Mormarg, which is a beautiful meadow just above the Kashmir Valley, where Stein wrote, made the translation of the Ratajini. Yeah, there's just so much you can do. There's just so much you can do there, and that has been a focus, an interest of mine, particularly over the last 3 years, in terms of a book which I've just completed.
Okay.
And Garry, one thing, while interacting with the people, so many things you experience, you come across. Tell us about the most memorable and remarkable moment of your life when you interacted with the people of Kashmir and you found them extraordinary.
There's so many. There are so many times where we've relied so much on the warmth and the hospitality of the people, particularly up in the mountains. I know the Bakwal, the Gujar, are not Kashmiri in origin, but nonetheless they've always had that sort of warmth. They've always been there to help. If we get caught out in a storm and we're waiting for our tents to arrive, they've always been hospitable, invited us into their huts, etc.
Okay.
And again, when you go across to Ladakh, I mean, you've got this completely different culture of going over towards the Soro Valley to begin with, which I always call that and Kargil being sort of little Baltistan,
Okay.
and then continuing up to the Buddhist areas of Ladakh. I can't think of any other part of the Himalaya which has got so many contrasts.
Okay.
Particularly the geographic contrast, from the rich alpine verdant valleys of Kashmir going up to the more stark trans-Himalaya zones, and of course comparing the warmth of the people in Ladakh and that of Kashmir.
Okay. Mr. Garry, you spoke about Gujars and Bakarwals.
Yes.
So have you interacted with them? What are the observations?
Well, I've interacted with them many, many times, particularly with the Bakarwal. And they have a very interesting sort of history. And you've only got to go up towards the Banihal Pass in the springtime, and if you're driving, you know you're going to be waiting for hours on end, while then thousands of sheep and goats are coming through before they sort of pan out across for their grazing, throughout the summer months there. And it's something they've been doing, I think, for about the last 150 years or so. How they came to Kashmir to begin with. I mean, the Gujar were here, but I think it was during the time of Ranbir Singh, Maharaja Ranbir Singh, that he invited them with a tax-free sort of proposal to make their way up, so that he would also be able to secure something of the shore wall trade as well. Not as good as the Pashmina, but at least it was another way. And since then they've been coming and establishing their grazing rights each year. And to me, this is a wonderful dimension.
There are two aspects of Kashmir economy. One is the horticulture sector, which is feeding the economy of Kashmir, and the other one is the tourism.
Yes.
But unfortunately, things took a bad turn, and we could not achieve the targets we had set for promoting tourism are getting much benefited from the touristic activities.
Yes.
Then there has been different campaigns. Then there have been different campaigns wherein we are promoting our tourism, or in promoting our making an effort in the direction so that we could invite more and more people to Kashmir.
Yes.
What
yes,
actually, as a travel, as an adventurer, as a trekker, what is your experience? How we could be taking this movement forward so that we attract the people from outside to Kashmir? What suggestions do you have for the government, for the tour operators, for the people who are thriving in this industry? What efforts they should make to attract more and more people towards Kashmir?
Well, I think it's a big question. If I could give an answer, I could probably. But essentially, I think there's two different segments. There's the domestic tourism, which up until 2015 was really doing very well indeed. I think it was up to 500,000 domestic tourists each year. But with the foreign tourists, it is coming back on a trickle. I mean, there's plenty of groups coming from Southeast Asia. There's plenty of groups coming from Singapore, from Thailand, from Korea, from Japan. There's a trickle coming in from Europe as well, particularly from Germany. One of the biggest challenges really is the government advisories with regard particularly to the Commonwealth countries, particularly with Australia and UK, where they have downgraded their advisories from do not travel to reassess your need to travel. And yet, I think that when people read this, they think, well, Kashmir must be a complete war zone. And you know, when they get here, like I've just been escorting a group just in the last week and a half ago, and they were a bit nervous when they came from Ladakh to Kashmir, and all of a sudden they realised with the warmth and the attitudes of the people, and it has really been a question of falling over backwards to make sure that when they get back they spread the word. But in a word, I think that you know, more overseas promotions, particularly in the UK, perhaps in Australia, certainly focusing on Germany. Germany dropped their advisory in 2011, so people can travel anywhere they like within Kashmir. The biggest challenge we've got in Australia is if people come to Kashmir, they can only go to Srinagar, to the city of Srinagar. If they go outside that, well, they're against the travel advisory, which means they're not insured, which is a big, big problem, because people obviously, if they have an accident, whether it's totally not militant related, nonetheless they're not insured. So that's the biggest challenge
these things need to be revisited, and in this direction, the state and the central government do have a great role. They definitely will have to work in this direction in an effective manner, so all these advisories are put down. So more and more foreign tourists come to this place, because foreign tourist is definitely contributing well to boost the economy of Kashmir.
I certainly agree with that. The advisories do need to be reviewed. And at the same time, you asked me how I'm trying to promote. Well, I've got a group of journalists coming from all parts of the world, from America, from Canada, from Australia, from New Zealand and from UK next spring. And hopefully they can again sort of spread
that's a great move.
As much as they can do. I've tried with the ABC, Australian Broadcasting. I have very good contacts there to get a few feel-good stories about Kashmir, rather than just highlighting everything that's going wrong. And
let's portray right things.
Let's focus on the positive. Let's
yes.
focus on the fact that, and again, you know, people have this sort of notion that sort of you know, foreigners are being killed from militant activities. 22 years since a foreigner was killed directly because of militant activity. 22 years. Yeah. How long?
Garry, one thing in my mind is lurking in my mind, and definitely would like you to answer that. You said that I have a degree in philosophy.
Yes.
What is your philosophical definition of Kashmir and its beauty?
I suppose philosophically, and this wasn't part of the course. I think it was a question that
because I'm not talking to an adventurer. I'm talking to a philosopher. So I'd like to have that. That's the most popular pose of a philosopher.
Yes, sure. I wonder where the group have gone. I did see them yesterday. Essentially, for people to have a relaxed attitude, to give things a go, and to come to Kashmir, to join up and go to Ladakh afterwards, and to understand that the people in Kashmir are as equally inviting and welcoming as any other part of the world. In fact, far more than any other part of India. And I'm not saying that just simply because I happened to be in Kashmir at the time, but I stay on a houseboat up at Nagin Lake. I go to the university, I go up towards the university every day for a cup of coffee, and it takes me about a half an hour because people just come up, they want to shake your hand, Mr. Garry, or Angrezi, and they come. People generally want visitors to come to their country to see things, and I think that's a sort of emphasis.
Okay.
And there have been some good promotions in the past, but there's got to be a lot more. There's got to be a lot more. Nepal has always had this sort of, it's always had this attraction.
Okay.
And people somehow think that perhaps we're shortchanging them because they can't see Mount Everest, but Kashmir has so much more to offer.
Okay. Mr. Garry, I have two questions for you. First question, that I'm quoting you, yes. Kashmir is a safer and hospitable place in the world than other places. So, what's your experience about this?
Well, I certainly believe...
Rather, I'll put you this, what made you to mention this?
I made that to mention because I think, there's so much bad things going on in the world, and you look at Kashmir and you compare it to people travelling to Europe, travelling to Brussels, travelling to Paris, going to London, going to New York. I always feel safe in Kashmir. Of course, there are periods of unrest. Of course, there's times when you don't want to go to a particular area of Kashmir, but generally, I've always felt safe in Kashmir.
Okay.
I've never felt anything towards my personal safety at all. And even during the worst periods in the early 1990s, yes, you had to take cautions, but things have changed remarkably
completely
since then. And again, just going back to the thing about going up to the university, I mean, that is the future, the students there. And they sit down sometimes and say about, self-determination and this and that, and go on. But they're talking about it. They're talking about it, and they've got aspirations, and that's where Kashmir's future lies.
And regarding hospitality,
yes.
Share some experiences or example.
Well, even, we've looked at attractions towards Kashmir, we've talked about its natural beauty, we've talked about its rich cultural heritage. You've even, staying on a houseboat. Isn't that just a wonderful experience? People are just knocked out by that when they come to
We'll be taking the discussion further, and we will have to here stop for a break.
यथ माज कशीर च खूबसूरती हिंद तमाम सर चश्म आयत इल्मिक सारी आगर आयत रोशन दिमाग आयत तो ये मजीद जज़ब बनावन मोखचत सफाई आयत थावन ये सब्द तेल येल सफाई सोनक आदत बने सोन मिशन बने सन कस्ब सन शहर सन मोहल तो सन कोच योदवै साफ आसन तेली हेको सु ख्वाब शर्मंदे ताबीर करित युस 2 अक्टूबर 2014 वुच
एक बार फिर आपका इस्तकबाल गुड मॉर्निंग J&K में। आज के इस प्रोग्राम में गैरी वेयर हमारे मेहमान हैं, जो एक ट्रैकर भी हैं, एक फोटोग्राफर भी हैं एक फिलोसोफर भी है और कश्मीर के साथ इनका ताल्लुक जो है वो गहरा है. While discussing things with you, Garry, you made mention of interacting with university students.
Yes, yes.
You do discuss things with them, you do share
Yes.
your experiences
Yeah.
with them, you find them quite warm. Did you ever occur you to motivate them to undertake the journeys towards these mountains, to undertake the journeys towards the different parts of Kashmir? Did you ever made an effort in this direction?
Well, it was done indirectly. I think it was way back in 1984, 1985. Up until that time, I used to employ guides from the UK and Australia coming to Kashmir. And the local guides, we mentioned Ruth Tambour again, were just so outstanding that we decided to dispense with them and dispense with the foreign guides and just start training up our local guides. And they formed their own organisation as well. I think it was the J&K Trekking and Mountaineering Association, which has done sterling work over the last sort of 20, 30 years of encouraging the youth of Kashmir to get up into those mountains. Just in the same way, without going back too much to the British, but Tinder Bristol, when they used to sort of send sort of parties of groups up into the mountains. So I think the professional guides that are employed in Kashmir have done a really good job also of encouraging people to come. So it's an indirect, it's been indirectly responsible. But yeah, people do. And I think that again is the future of Kashmir. We talked about adventure travel, we talked about trekking, and there's a small sector of the domestic market now is very keen to sort of undertake treks, and that should be encouraged as much as possible.
Okay.
One other aspect of your personality, your profession is photography. You extensively have been shooting in the areas you have trekked. What actually remains the focus of your photography?
Well, in the last 3 years, it's been with this book I've just completed on Kashmir. So it's been a lot of focus on the cultural history. It's been a lot of focus on trying to portray as much of the cultural history as possible, going out to sort of sites. I mentioned, Padrisasipur, or going down to Baramulla, or going, in various parts of South Kashmir. To Matan, to Avantipur, etc., and trying as much as I can do to sort of capture Kashmir in a good light there, in a positive light. And photography is a passion. I mean, you wake up in the morning, I wake up on my houseboat and you're looking across to the Hari Parbat, the Afghan fort. In the springtime you can see the mountains behind. I mean, you've got it made right from the first, right from the time from sun up, right the way down to magnificent sunsets. Anybody coming to Kashmir with a camera can do justice to the beauty there, because there's so much.
Mr. Garry, what is favorite food here in Kashmir?
Oh, goodness. Well, I'm mostly a vegetarian, so when people say, oh, let's have some Rogan Josh or some Gustava or Rista or kebab, I smile and say, yes, okay, just a small piece, yeah. So it has been a bit of a challenge. That has been a bit of a challenge, but most Australians are meat eaters, and they certainly do appreciate the way the food is prepared.
Okay, what are the favorite carbs, I mean, say, and proteins in high altitude?
Just an ordinary, just non-Indian diet. I mean, on my long walk, it was just rice-style vegetables every night. And I swapped cooks around every so often, but basically it was a rice and dal bhat. Was quite happy. No special preparations. I don't think there's any real need. A few chocolate bars to get a bit of energy, but yeah, the local food's wonderful.
Okay.
One thing definitely would like to know from you, that while trekking to a place, what actually are the precautions you take, because you are traveling through the difficult terrains, you can have an encounter at times with a wild animal. So how do you plan your journeys when you are undertake them, or when you plan your journeys, which routes do you take, and how do you plan your tracks through these routes while you don't encounter such a thing which could be hazardous or which could be
Well, it's
jeopardous?
very much up to our local guides, but we do extensive briefings in terms of medical emergencies, for instance, making sure there's a good medical kit, adequate medical kit at all. Looking at breakout points, you may be in a very remote area, but there's always a way you can get down to a roadhead within a couple of days or so. Making sure that the guides are familiar with river crossings, making sure that they are sort of fait when they're crossing glaciers, that they've got the group well in hand, etc., etc., etc. Wild animals, not so much. I've never been attacked by a brown or a black bear. I've seen them often from distances, but basically game with leopards as well. Yeah, there's no sort of danger there. Wild yaks, perhaps, but that will be just about it.
There's a saying that behind every successful man stands a woman. What's the contribution of your better half in achieving success in life?
Well, the better half went back to Australia just a few days ago, and she's always been very encouraging. I only got married about 14 years ago, and my wife just loves Kashmir. She just loves coming back. She just loves. She's like the shawl queen of Australia. She buys more shawls than she could possibly, and she virtually gives them away or creates them. You know, doesn't sell them for profit. Just wants to sort of keep the weavers in business, etc. So yeah, she's always been very, very encouraging. She loves trekking, and she's made many, many good friends out here as well. So it does help when you've got somebody who's sympathetic.
So would you like to make a mention of the friends, colleagues, whom you are working in coordination with, and how their advices, how their gestures have been encouraging?
Well, I have just so many friends. I mean, there's an organisation that we run our treks through called World Expeditions, which has a principal, one person from Delhi, one person from Ladakh, who've been sort of wonderfully close friends for me for the last 35 years. In Kashmir, there's just so many. We've mentioned Ruth Tramble, Maharaj Din, who's been a guide and a manager looking after treks here for many years. And of course, it's not just the guides, it's not just the principals as well, it's all the other people, it's all the staff, the cooks, the assistants, the assistant cooks, the horsemen, the other, the horse attendants. It's all this sort of whole family.
Okay.
And when people go out into the mountains, sometimes they have reservations to begin with. Oh goodness, I'm not sure what I'd let myself in for. Is it going to be more than I can? Is it going to be too much of a challenge? And yet they realise that every day on the trails are party time as well.
Okay.
I mean, the cooks, the assistants, they're always have a musical background. They're always singing, laughing, joking. They know that Australians in particular have got great sense of humour. They've got it's just wonderful. And that again,
Indeed,
they are really the ambassadors. They are really the ambassadors.
Okay.
Speaking about the pilgrimage tourism, you have
Yes.
undertaken the track to Amarnath Cave also.
Yes. Yeah.
We would like you to share those experiences with our viewers as well.
I used to undertake the trek up to Amarnath usually at least once a year up until 1990, and I didn't return until quite recently, just 2 years ago. And completely taken back by the numbers. There's anything up to about, I think, 400,000 pilgrims. This year I know the numbers have dropped down again. And I cannot help but wonder whether those numbers are sustainable. Such huge numbers. Up until 1990, it was all around the full moon of Shavan when there'd be 20,000 pilgrims. Now with these huge numbers, it is making an impact on the environment. And I think, without putting a negative spin on things, I used to go up to this meadow, most beautiful meadow called Manchani, which is the base before going up to Amarnath. And in the 80s, it used to be a most beautiful flower-covered meadow. Now it's just, it's just a dust pit now.
Okay.
Really, there needs to be more regulation. I think that the season for the yatra needs to be extended to take away some of the pressure. And there needs to be some sort of environmental levy there as well. I think for people to claim that it's that those numbers aren't making an impact is not quite.
You made mention of a meadow,
Yes,
and I would like to know
Panchani,
from you that what actually is the status of the meadows of Kashmir, or the plains of Kashmir by now? To what extent the population explosion, and to what extent our negligence has taken toll on these assets?
It has taken a small toll. It has taken a small toll. Panchani is the exception. Panchani is the exception. Because of the lack of tourism over the last 27 years, particularly foreign trekkers coming up here, the meadows have an opportunity to survive. But if you go out to places like Nauranag, I was out at Nauranag last week, there's a lot of debris, a lot of plastic bottles there. Now that isn't a big issue. It can be cleaned up in the day.
Exactly.
But we need to sort of focus on that. And I say that as an outsider, as a foreigner. We need to look also at at the waterways. I know there was a lot of publicity last week about the pollution on Dal Lake, and I remember that you could do a shikara ride, a very popular shikara ride, all the way from Dal Lake up to Nagin. It would take about an hour and a half. It's covered in weed now. It's covered in plastic bottles, carcasses of dead dogs. I mean, it doesn't take much to clean up. It doesn't take much to clean up, and that is something that we all have to sort of have an ownership in, as stakeholders, because basically it's Kashmir's future. It's something, but it isn't a big issue. It's something which can be done, and can be done quite simply. It isn't something which is irretrievable.
Garry, clock is ticking, and we are compelled to say goodbye. Thanks for coming.
Thank you so much indeed. Thank
sharing
you.
your experiences with regard to your treks, and
Yes, yeah.
the good memories of Kashmir you have preserved in the chambers of your memory, in your brain, and your contributions to Kashmir, to travel, to expedition, and exploring the beauty of Kashmir, and exposing it to the outer world in quite a positive manner. Kashmir is indebted to you. Kashmiris are indebted to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you.
And I'm very
Thank you.
indebted
Thank
to
you.
Kashmir as well.
नाज़रीन के साथ ही हमारे प्रोग्राम का आज का वक्त जो है ख़त्म को पहुंचता है। जिंदा रहे, फिर मिलेंगे, जब तक के लिए खुदा हाफिज़।
खुदा हाफिज।